Bem, boa tarde a todos. Espero que todos devidamente alimentados para essa segunda parte do nosso workshop. Lembrando que amanhã a gente tem a continuidade para discutir os aspectos relacionados ao Mercosul. Para esse painel de agora, a gente vai focar mais especificamente a regulação de profissões de saúde ou da força de trabalho em saúde nos países, e contamos para isso com a presença da doutora Mônica Padilha, da Organização Pan-Americana de Saúde, do professor Trudo Lemmings, da Universidade de Toronto, do professor Dharmesh Lal, da Fundação de Saúde Pública da Índia, e do professor Stéphane Brissy, da Universidade de Nantes, e do Instituto de Direito da Saúde da Universidade de Paris. O professor Cameron Stewart, que estava planejado para estar aqui conosco, ele teve problemas de agenda, não pôde vir, mas ele fez uma apresentação em vídeo que estará disponível junto com todas as apresentações do workshop no site do CPDISA e da Universidade de São Paulo, onde ele vai falar do modelo regulatório da Austrália. Então, é uma pena, a gente até pensou se passaria o vídeo dele aqui ou não, mas até para possibilitar mais tempo de debate com os nossos palestrantes, eu acho que a gente deixa depois para quem quiser e tiver interesse acessar o vídeo que ele fez no nosso site. Então, dito isso, agradecer aos nossos convidados internacionais pela presença, agradecer a todos pelas contribuições já feitas e passar, então, a palavra à doutora Mônica Padilha, que é representante da Organização Pan-Americana de Saúde, responsável pelos trabalhos da OPAS no Brasil acerca da regulação da força de trabalho, mas não só. Eu acho que ela poderia até explicar melhor qual é a grande área dela junto à Organização Pan-Americana no Brasil. Então, Mônica, muito obrigado.
Muito obrigada, Fernando. E eu quero primeiro, además de agradecer o convite para poder compartilhar com vocês, falar que eu falo um pouco de portunhol, assim que aí, por favor, qualquer coisa aí a gente ajuda, algum termo que não saiba. E eu queria compartilhar com vocês, quando eu recebi a convite de Fernando, em realidade é um tema muito amplo, como nós olhamos hoje na manhã, ele é imenso, mas você aclarou muito bem que seria um posicionamento desde a Organização Pan-Americana de Saúde, e como nós estamos olhando, eu acho que vou colocar isso, não? Talvez para não... Vamos olhar. Aí, pronto. Então, desde a Organização Pan-Americana da Saúde, como os problemas da regulação estão sendo vistos, e eu tentei colocar-me desde essa perspectiva para compartilhar com vocês estas reflexões. Então, em primeiro lugar, eu gostaria de apresentar um pouquinho a OPAS, não? A Organização Pan-Americana da Saúde é uma organização criada há mais de 102 anos, em 1902. Então, uma organização muito antiga. Esta organização nasce justamente com os problemas de nossa região, problemas mais epidemiológicos, da malária, tudo mais, e começa uma organização que é própria da região das Américas. Depois, quando aparece a OMS, que é uns 50 anos mais jovem que nós nos convertimos em uma das oficinas da OMS, que representa, então, a oficina regional, o escritório regional para as Américas, verdade? Então, nós temos dois chapéus aí. Um que seria da organização... Então, aí... Pronto. Então, um deles é a Organização dos Estados Americanos. Nós somos uma organização intergovernamental. Isso significa que atuamos como uma secretaria dos países. Então, nossa relação com os países é na medida de intervir e trabalhar com eles na formulação da política pública em saúde. Então, eu quero colocar esse ponto aqui, porque é importante para os convênios, os acordos internacionais sobre os objetivos que nós temos em saúde, E eu quero colocar-me aqui desde a política como a organização intermedia com os estados para definir o dever ser, verdade? Um pouco ali eu queria colocar isso. Então, nós temos, como Organização Pan-Americana da Saúde, 52 estados da região das Américas que atuam como nossos chefes. Realmente, os ministros são, digamos, os corpos diretivos da OPAS, e ali, cada um dos problemas da saúde é colocado em um marco deliberativo, como vocês olham ali, e todas as decisões que se tomam lá constituem, então, os mandatos sobre os quais a organização funciona. Eu coloco esse ponto lá, porque o que hemos estado conversando hoje na manhã coloca a organização em um marco de diálogo que é muito complexo, verdade? Então, um pouquinho eu queria colocar aí, nosso mandato geral é um mandato da saúde como um todo. Na região das Américas hoje, uma pincelada do que está passando na região, eu acho que para vocês, para todos nós, é desconhecido, não? Temos um contexto de alta inestabilidade. Há uma mudança profunda nos planos políticos. Na última década, nós hemos olhado os governos com diferentes posições ideológicas e posições respeito ao que é o desenvolvimento, ao modelo de desenvolvimento dos países, verdade? Cambio no plano político, econômico, sem dúvida, persiste a inequidade. Nossa região é a mais inequitativa do mundo. Existe uma grande polarização da população frente às propostas de governo. Nas últimas eleições de toda a região, os países últimos, todos têm ganhado com uma porcentagem entre 50 e 51 entre os governos de esquerda e direita. E há uma grande polarização da população frente a essas propostas. Outro elemento que ha entrado a jogar muito forte nesta última década é a crise da transparência. Acho que ali nós temos, todos os países estamos assistindo a problemas entre persecução política, verdade, e problemas de corrupção muito fortes, institucionalizados em muito tempo, que hoje muda praticamente todo o nosso cenário político. E também mantemos novamente achamos que uma nova oleada de estados mínimos e desregulador. Então, aparecem também aí novos atores, han aparecido muitos blocos, por exemplo, de conexão entre os países. Sin embargo, vocês veem ultimamente, por exemplo, a Unasul, o movimento que estava muito forte há pouco tempo, hoje está sendo praticamente anulado do concerto internacional. Então, o cenário é muito inestável, realmente, e o que encontramos também é que dentro desse cenário inestável, a população sigue tendo suas demandas sem poder ter uma resposta. Ali, um pouco, eu gostaria de colocar o tema da saúde como um objeto de política no marco das deliberações das Nações Unidas, que também um pouco é nosso marco de mandato, verdade? Aí, então, vocês têm os Objetivos Sustentáveis do Milênio, passamos desde os ODM aos ODS. Sustentável é uma palavra muito importante, no sentido de procurar elementos que não estejam só de superfície, verdade, sino mais estruturais. Há um compromisso global. Temos também, no caso da OMS, da Organização Mundial da Saúde, um acordo com todos os países do mundo, a necessidade de avançar a um acesso universal. Aí há uma diferença entre a OMS, que pensa na cobertura universal, e a região das Américas, que pensa no acesso universal. Pareceria pequeno, mas é uma diferença muito grande, verdade? Não simplesmente ter uma cobertura, sino um acesso efetivo de qualidade e sem barreiras de preço, que é o que se decidiu para a região das Américas. A mais disso, também a Organização Mundial da Saúde convoca os países para ter uma estratégia em recursos humanos ao 2030. E também existe um movimento nas Nações Unidas que coloca o conceito de desenvolvimento e emprego em saúde como um dos elementos que empieza a dar voltas em nossa agenda política internacional. Para o caso das Américas, a Organização Pan-Americana, com esses 52 estados, também coloca uma estratégia específica para a nossa região, e aí coloca a necessidade de avançar todos para a saúde universal, como conceito que responde ao direito da população e também ao acesso a serviços de alta qualidade. Esse é um debate dentro de nosso conjunto de Estados-membros muito difícil. A votação para aceder à palavra acesso foi no trabalho de 2 dias aí de lobby político, sempre há estados fortes, como vimos aqui, que não têm na Constituição a saúde como direito e a colocam como uma possibilidade, não como um direito. Então, esse debate sempre é muito forte em termos políticos, mas, novamente, com apoio de países como o Brasil, eu acho que aí é muito importante a presença de Brasil, dos países sul-americanos, e também ali Canadá sempre foi um aliado forte, sin embargo, as mudanças dos governos fazem com que as votações modifiquem também, verdade? Então, nesse sentido, existe estratégia de saúde universal, outra estratégia que é a estratégia de desenvolvimento de recursos humanos, que é a que vou comentar agora e que também foi aprovada recentemente. Agora, eu gostaria de fazer algumas precisões no tema da regulação e como a OPAS observa o por que nós estamos trabalhando com os países, qual é nosso posicionamento. Como falou Fernando ao início, a OPA está comprometida com os sistemas de saúde universal, públicos, verdade, de acesso de alta qualidade, e é parte de nossa missão acompanhar os países para olhar hacia esse norte, hacia esse derroteiro. Então, primeiro, a regulação é uma função que se encontra no campo da política pública. É um exercício da política pública e, portanto, é uma função dos Estados, a regulação ou a desregulação. Então, ali está claramente o comando dos países para nós é do Estado. Como vimos hoje, é um quadro complexo de relações entre distintos atores com posicionamentos, recursos e poder. E essa dinâmica é muito forte e cada um dos países tem uma expressão, como olhamos hoje na manhã. Agora, nós temos claro que a regulação é uma função do Estado e não é um autoequilíbrio atribuído ao mercado. Aí há interesses contraditórios entre a presença do Estado como um comando e o mercado como quem dirime as decisões de política. Há uma tensão nos posicionamentos ao redor do Estado como rector dos temas na saúde. Ali a nossa perspectiva também é de direito cidadão, é decir, nós abogamos porque isso seja um direito universal e trabalhemos por isso. Aí nós havíamos colocado 2 definições, porque a OPAS ha acompanhado muitos países para exercer a reitoria, entendendo-se por reitoria a capacidade de liderança das autoridades de saúde para moldar e apoiar uma ação coletiva que permita a criação, o fortalecimento e a mudança necessária das estruturas de governo dos sistemas de saúde. Isso permite garantir, então, a possibilidade de construir esse acesso à saúde. E outro tema que é a governança, é decir, aqueles arranjos institucionais que regulam os atores, os recursos críticos que influenciam as condições de cobertura e acesso à saúde universal. Também a definição destes conceitos no marco da política e com os países membros ha tomado muito tempo para poder aceitar esses conceitos. Mas esses são o posicionamento desde a OPAS respeito às funções do Estado e a essa contradição entre os interesses do público e do privado e o mercado como um espaço que tem que ser compreendido e intervenido. Eu queria fazer para vocês aqui, ou vocês vão encontrar um conjunto de marcos conceituais que permitem olhar o campo de recursos humanos como espaço em que nós temos, que estamos pensando agora, a regulação da força laboral. Tem 2 processos centrais que estão ali norteando o trabalho que nós fazemos com a perspectiva de desenvolvimento de recursos humanos. O que vocês têm ao lado esquerdo, que são, o que tem aqui, vou colocar, todo o que corresponde aos processos educativos na saúde e todo o que corresponde aos processos de profissionalização do mercado de trabalho, mas que se transformam em o serviço da saúde, verdade? Quando aqui nós hemos colocado principalmente a relação com a população respeito à educação é uma demanda e a oferta de formação profissional é a que compõe o mercado educativo. Então, as leis de regulação sobre esse espaço, sobre o mercado educativo, são as leis do mercado, preço, intercâmbio, atores lá funcionando. Quando você tem a graduação, verdade, aqui entre a graduação e os serviços de saúde, verdade, aparece outro mercado que é o mercado laboral. E aí também esse funciona com medidas de mercado. Igualmente, entre os serviços de saúde e a população, é outro mercado, perdão, que está aí. Então, o que eu quero dizer é que o campo da regulação é um campo complexo, com múltiplos atores, mas qualquer decisão que você toma no campo da educação, ele impacta no campo do trabalho e também impacta no campo da profissionalização. Então, este é um gráfico que a OPAS tem, é muito antigo, vocês têm vários ali, tem o informe de 2006 da OMS e agora o da Comissão de Alto Nível, mas a diferença deles é que a população está presente aqui, porque a relação do mercado afeta a população no marco da educação, no marco do trabalho e dos serviços. Então, esse para nós é importante para poder pensar para que regularíamos se não fosse para a população. A OPAS tem uma grande história e acho que a maioria de nossos países hemos estado trabalhando em função da política da força laboral para garantir, verdade, essa força laboral adequada, suficiente, motivada, distribuída, etc, etc. Vocês podem olhar esses textos que estou falando em muitos sítios. Aqui hay un simple slide que reflete un poco el trabajo feito durante una década, a partir de 2005. Este mismo acordo con los países se fez para trabalhar en una política de recursos humanos que garanta acceso a política, trabalho digno, formação. Mas estamos novamente renovando este compromisso com nova resolução. Aí eu coloquei na apresentação os links para vocês poder entrar aos documentos, novamente apresentados aos 52 Estados-membros. Ali, aqui está Isabel Duré, com quem tivemos a oportunidade de compartilhar a desenho deste documento, que um pouco reflete que em 10 anos, realmente, os compromissos siguen sendo, os problemas siguen sendo persistentes. Então, a pergunta é por quê? ¿Por qué estos problemas que no permiten alcanzar a disponibilidad, accesibilidad, pertinencia, competencia del recurso humano? ¿Cuál es la razón? A pregunta, ¿son abordajes fragmentados? ¿Hay opciones de política insuficiente? ¿Faltan recursos financieros siempre? ¿O hay otros intereses que no permiten que eso se consolide? Ali, nossas conclusões em esse documento que vocês vão encontrar, é que temos, esse documento, además, também é produto de uma negociação. 3 grandes âmbitos que eu estou indo aí às consequências de não ter uma regulação, verdade? O primeiro é que a governança, realmente, como hoje estão operando os atores sociais em educação, trabalho e serviços, realmente a situação vai continuar a mesma. Não podemos modificar se não tivéssemos outra governança que permita realmente tomar decisões de base. Ali também o acesso é um problema persistente. Nós ainda não conseguimos ubicar profissionais adequados nos sítios que como hoje na manhã estivemos vendo. Nem temos os instrumentos para poder incidir aí. Vocês vão ver muitas experiências dos países que conseguem incidir na equidade, mas é uma luta permanente, verdade? E outro tema, o tema da educação. O tema da educação, realmente, em 10 anos, é o componente que menos mudou para poder garantir a poder subsidiar a operação de sistemas basados em atenção primária. Eles mantiveram a tendência de hiperespecialização, a concentração urbana, etc, etc. Então, a pergunta é como modificar esses equilíbrios para tomar outras decisões. Ali vocês estão notando aqui que há um espaço que não aparece, verdade? Isso também foi um motivo de negociação, que é o marco de trabalho. O espaço do trabalho é onde se modulam todos estes movimentos. E o mercado privado, que tampouco aparece aqui, verdade? Que são os espaços aos quais a governança de hoje não permite incidir. Então, ali, novamente, temos um plano de implementação, como funcionam as resoluções dos organismos internacionais como a OMS, a OPAS, e ali, consultado com os países, se ha ratificado estes 3 elementos: governança, acesso e, na parte de educação, incorporar também o trabalho, como um dos elementos que serão trabalhados os próximos 10 anos. Mas como garantir que hoje seja distinto ao que estamos fazendo, verdade? Eu acho que esta reunião é muito importante porque permite olhar qual seria um equilíbrio distinto, não? Aí eu acho que a apresentação do colega de França, coloca a perspectiva da população desde a avaliação, que quizás é um espaço que temos que aprofundar em nosso trabalho. Então, o que fazemos quando estamos frente a este campo? Ali, eu vou mencionar para vocês alguns pontos da regulação, porque ali teríamos muito que trabalhar, tanto no macro como nos micromecanismos que estão desenvolvidos na sociedade. Então, vou avançar, por exemplo, para o modelo de... temos um clássico, verdade, que aí é um trabalho do 93 de Wood e Moran, que coloca alguns mecanismos para poder regular este movimento das profissões da saúde, verdade, no marco educativo, no marco de exercício profissional. Então, por exemplo, para os mecanismos de entrada no mercado de trabalho, acreditação de escola, registro, certificação por os ministérios, ou certificação para práticas profissionais por as associações, a carreira profissional mesmo, e logo o movimento, migração e homologação de títulos, são espaços regulatórios onde todos nós temos alguns instrumentos em desenvolvimento. Também podemos pensar no marco do mercado internacional, as áreas de integração econômica, os treinamentos à distância, a migração dos profissionais. Então, vamos olhando ali um conjunto de elementos que vão gerando necessidades regulatórias de distinto tipo. A vinda, por exemplo, de profissionais cubanos para o programa Mais Médicos no Brasil significou um grande desafio para os temas regulatórios e um choque entre as definições políticas e os marcos regulatórios. Outro elemento, por exemplo, como controlo a competência. Eu vi hoje na manhã, realmente, o trabalho excelente da equipe de Fernando, toda a equipe de vocês aqui na USP, o tema do cuidado dos escopos de prática, verdade? Então, ali, os campos, os códigos de ética, a certificação, a ilegalização da concorrência, uso da propaganda, desqualificar, verdade? E controle de práticas tradicionais, por exemplo. Ali tem um conjunto também na região das Américas de exemplos interessantes de formas para poder entrar a regular este tema. Mas não poderíamos entender, por exemplo, esse ingresso ao mercado de trabalho sem o componente da formação. E o que está passando com o mundo da formação? Aqui há um excelente resumo que a Unesco faz sobre o comportamento das universidades no tempo. Vocês veem aí como 3 grandes etapas. Uma autonomia e com o governo das universidades. Eu quero colocar isso só para entender que a dinâmica macro é a que vai definindo também o que vai sucedendo dentro das exigências regulatórias. Logo, uma etapa de mercantilização e diferenciação, modelo público-privado. Hemos olhado nos últimos tempos um incremento da privatização em toda a nossa região. Falando de educação, muito mais de educação básica, ali é um amplo campo, uma arena de negócio, não é verdade? E o último, essa massificação e internacionalização, que incide, então, na forma de ensinar aos estudantes, das competências globais que devem ter para poder mover-se entre os países. Então, ali, a regulação também adquire a forma que este movimento mais amplo empieza a impactar em nossas regulações, verdade? Por exemplo, muitos dos países centro-americanos têm agora, obrigatoriamente, sobretudo o caso que eu conheço, República Dominicana, que acceder às agências regulatórias dos Estados Unidos, porque o objetivo é poder pegar as pessoas e mudar ali com mais facilidade. Então, o que está passando com o mercado também e como esse precisa outro tipo de regulações que sempre tem sócios externos e sócios internos, verdade? Outro ponto que acho que é muito importante é as mudanças, por exemplo, na educação que temos na realidade. E a falta, a regulação que temos, acho que está muito longe do que nós precisamos. Quem nos garante hoje que o pessoal que está lá tem capacidade de manter a saúde? Nós trabalhamos muito na enfermidade, verdade? Mas não na saúde. Ou quem pode acompanhar problemas complexos, a violência. Então, esse ajuste de o que tem que ser produzido no mundo do trabalho, quem regula isso? Como estamos nos temas de certificação institucional, ou por carreira, ou por programa? Então, aí entramos a um mundo realmente amplo que requer também nosso pensamento. Agora, quando vamos à prática profissional mesmo, ali nós temos ao menos estes 3 modelos, que eu acho que recorrimos ali, a maioria deles. A autorregulação, que acho que em nossa região a autorregulação foi delegada há muito tempo. e aquilo que se delega há muito tempo é quase impossível pegar de volta, verdade? Isso significa que os próprios profissionais definem mecanismos de entrada, de monopólio, como seja, verdade? E está definido assim por a lei. O outro ponto, autorregulação com sanção de Estado, que há um mito aí de intento, verdade, de negociar sobre as condições que nós deveríamos ter para garantir a qualidade. Este é o último, uma regulamentação direta de Estado que tem alguns países, verdade, e que mostra, obviamente, acompanhada por sistemas de planejamento muito mais firmes, que permitem ter algum controle sobre um espaço. Quando vocês veem educação, trabalho, será que é possível alcançar algum equilíbrio nesse sentido? Não? A realidade mostra que não. Agora estamos ali em um movimento que ao menos deveria ser melhor compreendido, não? Também poderíamos pensar, e isso já vimos aí, um conjunto de instrumentos, acreditação, em que nível, vou passar isso porque já hoje vimos vários exemplos. Também, quando pensamos em regulação, nós poderíamos estar pensando como regulamos a estrutura de trabalho, que aparentemente deveria ser mais fácil, porque nós, em geral, na região das Américas, é o setor público el que é maior empregador de toda a região. Mas ainda assim, nós não conseguimos poder ter um acesso equitativo de pessoal. Então, aí temos vários padrões de localização geográfica, relações salariais, as dotações mínimas, e aí temos um conjunto de instrumentos de negociação e de regulação dessa movimentação do personal. Também estão aqui vários pontos, solamente para colocar os mecanismos, os típicos incentivos, não? Onde você vai. Então, eu recorri desde o macro, regulação, hasta o micro, com várias possibilidades, mas pareceria que algo não está funcionando. Ou há um determinante muito maior, que é a regulação da lei, dos papéis e das relações de acordo das comissões, como muito bem colocou nossa colega hoje na manhã. Alguma coisa falha ali. Porque realmente a concentração urbana das profissões em geral, umas menos que outras, mas das profissões, é uma tendência vigente. Verdade que este último trabalho feito aqui sobre a demografia américa, que mostra que a gente está aqui no Sudeste, verdade? Onde existe o mercado e a possibilidade de compartilhar o mercado público com o privado. Algo anda mal porque a demanda, a disponibilidade de pessoal qualificado, ela não se consegue nos países. Nós acabamos, então, de aprovar essa resolução para volver a tentar ir hacia uma cobertura mais equitativa na região. Também algo anda mal porque se fuera autorregulação suficiente, olha aqui, nós temos, por exemplo, o exemplo de enfermagem, verdade? Se fosse assim, e houvesse uma autorregulação e um cuidado do mercado de trabalho, não tivéssemos o nível de desemprego que há para a enfermagem, verdade? Mas pareceria que aqui, então, essa autorregulação não está operando, porque a formação não é compatível com as necessidades de saúde, que incorporaria toda essa enfermagem dentro da força laboral, mas tampouco temos um desafio. Agora, pareceria que os médicos fazem melhor. Por isso, nós temos esse nível de judicialização. Para cada um dos estágios que avança, digamos, nós temos aí um controle do mercado laboral. Verdade? Então, parece que fazemos melhor aí. Pero em interesse de quem? Verdade? Agora, há outros limites, porque o Estado precisa abrir, por exemplo, e todos os dados são do programa do Ministério da Saúde, precisa haver espaço, por exemplo, para pessoal qualificado. Eu acho que já passei meu tempo, não? Já estou... 3 minutos. Então, aí precisa abrir espaço, por exemplo, para a saúde familiar. Mas quando você oferece plazas, não tem gente que quer ir lá. Então, o incentivo real está no mercado privado, ali é onde está, e realmente há uma concentração, não só em nosso país. Eu acho que se vocês recorrem aos países da América Latina, nós temos um problema similar. Qual seria a forma, então, de mudar essa governança? Ali eu vou deixar as perguntas, verdade? Eu acho que a perspectiva está aparecendo muitos problemas, não? Porque tem que mudar, está mudando o cenário da saúde. Aí há mudanças em saúde, a determinação social da saúde, que indica que ações gerais de desenvolvimento e qualidade de vida, além dos serviços, pareceria que é um espaço que tem que ser aprimorado, verdade? O outro tema é a demografia. Por exemplo, hoje, o envelhecimento da população vai colocando a enfermagem e as categorias de cuidado em outro patamar laboral. Hoje, definitivamente, por exemplo, se vocês analisam os sistemas europeus, o cambio dos escopos de prática é urgente, não é por o grêmio, não é porque a enfermagem conseguiu ganhar espaço de negociação, é porque o serviço precisa. Não é mais que vem desde o grêmio, vem desde a realidade. Então, há uma tensão aí que vai funcionando para outros campos. Aí o tema da interprofissionalidade, atenção integrada, integral para as pessoas, é preciso. É necessário mudar e a universidade ainda tem as cátedras divididas. Então, há uma contradição importante, vai muito lento, mas está vendo E a outra coisa é essa pertinência e qualidade de formação profissional para a cidadania, verdade? Aí também há outro espaço de dívida aos resultados na saúde. Como, então, a regulação pensada como tal deveria conectar-se com os resultados da saúde, verdade? O desempenho, a capacidade da força laboral, que não está no campo da educação. Não é aí onde se melhora o resultado sanitário, é no trabalho, nos serviços. Então, a regulação pensada em exercício da prática ou na educação pareceria que fica incompleto. E aí puse vários pontinhos, porque há mais tensões. Mas eu só quisiera avançar com algumas considerações finais, considerando que a regulação é uma intermediação necessária do Estado, fundamental nas Américas, que é um continente com maior nível de inequidade no mundo. Há evidências suficientes de política pública que pode gerar progresso substancial para avançar rumo à saúde universal. Não é que nós sabemos como se faz, sabemos como se faz. No entanto, o equilíbrio das forças sociais em torno das decisões políticas tende mais à desregulamentação e liberalização para a dinâmica do mercado. E ali há multiplicidade de agendas trabalhando em prol disso. Então, ali, em Rio Revuelto, não é? Quando está tudo mais complexo, ainda que parece incrível, essas forças avançam muito mais rápido que quando há uma consistência na estrutura da política. É fundamental manter um diálogo ativo que comprometa a vontade política e assegurar o bem comum e proteger os mais vulneráveis. Realmente, para nós como OPAs, por exemplo, hoje analisando alguns dados da diminuição do investimento público tanto em saúde como educação, o impacto na mortalidade e na morbilidade é altíssimo. Se conta em números, mas são pessoas e realmente essa política de diminuir o gasto, ela tem impacto em vidas, verdade? Então, é importante manter esse diálogo e ali, da política, de acordo à evidência de colocar no território, na agenda o que tem que ser colocado. No campo de recursos humanos, há experiências que mostram os efeitos positivos de uma regulação consistente, participativa, transparente, que é essencial, además, para ganhar a confiança e a valoração da população. Portanto, a sustentabilidade dos sistemas sociais. Então, nosso posicionamento é aí, eu só quero fechar com uma anedota, que mais que uma anedota, um dado histórico de um colega amigo, que fala que na medicina china, verdade, os médicos solamente recebiam pago sempre que a gente está sano. Mas quando se enferma, deixa de receber pago. Acho que é uma moda, um modelo de regulação totalmente diferente que ele comentava. Eu queria compartilhar com vocês estas reflexões. Agradeço muito, muito obrigada.
Obrigado, Mônica. Bem, a apresentação foi ótima, mas deixa a gente mais apreensivo pelo tamanho dos desafios que a gente tem no campo da regulação, que estão sendo bem mostrados aqui. Eu quero, então, agora passar a palavra para o professor Trudo Lemens, da Universidade de Toronto, que vai nos apresentar como é que funciona o modelo regulatório de profissões de saúde no Canadá. Então, professor Trudo, por favor.
Okay, so thank you, Fernando, for the very kind invitation. It's really an honor and a pleasure to be here in Paulo. This is the third time I'm enjoyed the city. So I was very happy to hear Dr. Padilla basically emphasizing the fact that PAHO supports the idea of health professions regulations and the important role of health professions regulations in the realization of the concept of the right to health. If we would make a graphic, so one of these modern graphics that you often see in the beginning of official reports about what words did we hear most in all the presentations this morning, and we kind of mix Portuguese and English together, it would probably be complexity or complexidade of health regulation. And so this is also what my presentation will be about the complexity of professional regulation in Canadian context. Fernando and Rochelle already pointed out this complexity, also pointed out in their presentation the various institutional players involved, the fact that the involvement of all of these different institutional players leads or creates a situation which is prone to conflicts, conflict of interest as well. And I would say the same is true in the Canadian context. We have had some movement towards more accountable professional self-regulation, but as I will point out, following actually the excellent presentation by Colleen, who already gave a general sketch of the political, constitutional, and legal context that creates the kind of complexity that we see in the Canadian context. So I will Colleen already explained to you the complexity of the federalism factor in the Canadian context. I will focus on professional self-regulation in one health regulation in one particular province, the province of Ontario, which is the largest province in terms of its population and the province with the biggest economic activity. It's also the province where the federal government is located. I will also focus only on one aspect of health professions regulation. So Fernando pointed out that there are three different components to this which interact, some of which already again Colleen alluded to when she talked about the larger health system context in which physicians operate. And these three factors, if I capture it correctly, were training, formación, ejercicio profesional, so professional development or professional, actually the practice of the profession, and regulation of contracts. And so I will focus again quite technically. Colleen allows me to, because she already gave the general Canadian context. I will focus on the ejercicio profesional. So how are the health professions regulated in one particular Canadian province? And it may be interesting for people to go through some of these elements. It's quite technical, so I will show a lot of slides with quite some detail about which gives you simply a sense of the complexity. I won't read all of this with the things that you will see in the slides. Anybody who wants to have a copy of the slides can have them. It gives you simply an overview of the various ways in which health professions are regulated. So bear with me if I go too fast. If the translator can't follow me, just put up your hand and I'll slow down. Quick historical background. In 1991, Ontario issued a Regulated Health Professions Act, which forms the basis of the health professions regulatory system. It was preceded by more than a decade of reflection on how to regulate health professions. Some of these reflections are things that you are also engaged in right now, and that many countries have been engaged in. In 1980, a report of a professional organizations committee contained or expressed some concerns by health professionals, bureaucrats of Ministry of Health, and public interest groups that we had in Ontario a system of uncoordinated and outdated health professions. These outdated regulations created restrictions for an efficient use of healthcare providers. I'm not saying we solved the problem, but at least at that time it was thought that we needed kind of coordinated system where it became clear who could do what, where the division of powers in the context of the provision of healthcare was less hierarchical, less driven by dominant positions and all of the other health professions. It was also thought that the system at the time was unresponsive and unaccountable to the public. In other words, that the professions basically did what they wanted to do, particularly in relation to complaints, investigations into healthcare provider misconduct, and disciplinary proceedings. So, following that report, the health professions legislation review was mandated by the Minister of Health, and the Minister of Health basically issued issued the mission of this committee to draft recommendations which could actually form already draft legislation. So they had a very extensive mandate. They held consultations, hearings, submissions of all the people involved in health professions regulations. Health professionals were invited to describe the contributions that they were making to healthcare, and there were exchanges between the different professions. So this was the first time that there was such a dialogue between the different health professions about what are the nurses doing, what are the doctors doing, what are the physiotherapists doing, and how do they interact with each other. As a result of the exercise, the review came up with a draft list of 39 self-regulated professions, which was finally reduced to 24, so much more than actually that you have in the Brazilian context. The key professions are, as in any system, physicians and nursing, and the other professions are called so-called allied health professions. You see, there are quite a lot of them, and some of them are controversial. I'll say something more about that. If you look, for example, at 21, homeopathy, naturopathy, traditional Chinese medicine, and acupuncture, there's some interesting debate going on about the fact that these are self-regulated professions. The model that is reflected in the legislation that came out as a result of this exercise is clearly a model of self-regulation. So the regulation statutorily delegated from provincial government to the health professionals that used to investigate or regulate, set standards for the profession. The primary reasoning behind it is that there is a recognition that professionals have specialized knowledge, making them more adept at regulating themselves and have a better understanding of what professional standards would be. But at the same time, there's also a recognition in the regulatory system of the need for public accountability and oversight. So what are some of the principles? So I won't read all of these, but notice the one in bold: advancing the public interest, protecting the public from harm, and from unqualified, incompetent, or unfit providers. There's also a market open or consumer-oriented component. Patients' access to healthcare providers of their choice is seen as an important component of the self-regulatory system, which explains probably the openness towards regulating a large number of professions that people want to use in the context of deciding about their own healthcare. Notice also the last section involved: flexibility in the role of the professions and room for the evolution of professions through a broad scope of practice provisions. So practice provisions are provisions in the different legislations that deal with the professions about what kind of practices particular professionals are involved in. To give you a sense of the complexity, I have 3 such slides. So what you have on as a whole is on the top of the slide, the Regulated Health Professions Act, legislation under which all of these different professional acts are being enacted. And the Regulated Health Professions Act also contains the Health Professions Procedural Code, which is integrated and determines actually how all of these different professions have to be regulated, what kind of structure they have to put in place. Most of these professions were enacted in 1991. There are only a couple of professions that have been added since 1991, and some of them are relatively controversial. So traditional Chinese medicine and homeopathy, you see here in 2007. So more than 15 years after the first initial list of health professions some additional professions were added to the list of professional regulations. So again, what are the key features? You have a overarching regulatory or statutory basis, Regulated Health Professions Act. You have then profession-specific acts and a health professional procedural code, which deals with how all of these specific professions. So keep in mind again, the Regulated Health Professions Act contains already this health professions procedural code, which is then also copied into all of these subforms of legislation. What are the, when I look through the slides, regulatory bodies is not exactly the right term, but what are the kind of decision-making bodies? What are the bodies that are important in this particular context? Well, you see here, you obviously have the Ministry of Health and Long-Term Care. You have profession-specific colleges. You have a professional health professions regulatory advisory council, which I'll say something more about in a minute, and also a health professions appeal and review board, which stands above all of the specific colleges, all of the specific professional-specific systems. Again, I'll say something more about these last two, particularly the Health Professions Regulatory Advisory Council and the Health Professions Appeal and Review Board. The first thing is that I want to explain is very briefly the Health Professions Regulatory Advisory Council. It's a key council which provides advice. It's an independent body that provides advice to the Minister of Health, particularly in the context of whether certain new professions should be added to the existing list of health professions. I have a schematic scheme, or have a scheme here of how that happens, how a health profession is regulated. I won't read through that in detail. But so the Health Professions Regulatory Advisory Council, it's important to keep in mind, is a body that tries to act on an evidence-based model. It collects information, it conducts studies, holds public hearings, obtains feedback from the public, from community organizations, from interest groups, from health professions themselves, and then on the basis of a set of principles, which you see reflected here, principles of public expectations, the need for supporting interprofessional care and optimizing contribution of all health professionals, and other principles. On the basis of these principles, which it looked at to determine whether a new health profession should be added to the existing list of health professions, it makes a recommendation to the minister, which then decides whether a health profession should be added and whether new legislation is needed for that profession. So again, only a couple of professions have been added since 1991, since the first set of health professions regulations came into being. Second body that is interesting to mention in this context, I have to add one particular thing. One particular thing to mention here is that the basis of the criteria for assessing the need for regulation are particularly concerned with patient safety, the need to resolve information asymmetry between health profession and patients. The key threshold, in other words, is the risk of harm. Explicitly mentioned that there is no merit evaluation taking place. So it's always emphasized that the Health Professions Regulatory Advisory Council doesn't say whether a particular health profession is doing a practice which is really important, evidence-based in and of itself, which is strange, because you can ask yourself the question whether the regulation of a health profession which may lack evidentiary basis is not in and of itself a potential source of harm. So I'll come back to that a little bit later. Okay, another interesting element to discuss here, perhaps because if I understand it correctly, this is something that is quite unique to the various system that you have, is an independent appeal process for decisions made by the regulatory colleges. And this is an appeal process, in other words, that is taken out from the power of the colleges themselves, the health professional colleges, which consists of members of the public, independent professionals and lawyers. And so they decide on appeals by health professions themselves or by patients who have filed a complaint, for example, with the regulatory colleges about the decision of the college. So if you're unhappy as a patient, you file a complaint against a physician or against a nurse or against another health professional, the regulatory college decided that they didn't think that there was a violation of professional practice, you can appeal to the Health Professions Appeal Board. It's an adjudicative body. In other words, it can make decisions, and I'll say something more about these decisions in a minute, to override, overturn the decision by the regulatory college. Judicial review is still possible, so you can still go to court even if the appeal board rejects your complaint. But in that particular structure, it's very difficult actually to convince the judge that when the appeal board has rejected your claim, that there has been violation of, say, procedural norms, administrative procedure norms, or, for example, a violation of fundamental rights according to the Constitution. So the appeal process focuses on two things that these regulatory colleges do. Again, I won't say more about that, but they do review, or much more about it, they do review complaints system, so decisions by the colleges of inquiries, decisions by the complaints committees, and they will look there at the adequacy of the investigations, the reasonableness of the committee's decision. They issue their decisions in writing, and interestingly, these decisions are made publicly available. So there is quite an accumulation of decisions by the appeal board to make available information about disciplinary proceedings against physicians, nurses, and other health professionals. They can take a wide variety of actions. They can confirm the committee's order, so the committee meaning the committees at the level of the colleges, the regulatory colleges. They can make recommendations to the colleges to revise or to reinvestigate. They can overturn some of these decisions. Also, make decisions with respect to the registration requirements for physicians. So, if a physician, for example, his request for registration is rejected, or if he's scrapped from the list of the colleges and can no longer practice, he can file a complaint, or he can appeal that decision by the colleges to obtain a reinstatement, re-registration, or certification of the services. So, still find the time? So I'll say something now, not in a very systematic way, but say something more now, because things often look nice on paper. The reality is that they have to implement political structure which been already implemented, or financial structure where we do have power relations between professionals and patients. And so some of these challenges that I will point out here, I'll mention some general challenges, and then I'll mention also some specific controversies that highlight the continuing problems that we see in the regulation of the health professions. So the first issue that has often been considered reasonably controversial is the fact that the decision to regulate is merit-based, but where indeed, as I already pointed out, you can ask yourself the question whether the choice to regulate a profession doesn't give political and practical legitimacy to professions that sometimes may not be acting in the public interest. They may give a false impression about the legitimacy of their role within the healthcare system. And so some of my colleagues in the health law area have been particularly critical of the fact that we have in Ontario, for example, regulatory college around for homeopathy or naturopathy. So I leave it up to this question period whether you think that's a legitimate concern or not. So in and of itself, the decision to regulate provides legitimacy may be arguably a cause of potential harm. Secondly, there are also ongoing issues of quality control and of the clarity of the information to the public about what exactly is regulated, what exactly are the certifications, what exactly do we mean when we have certain titles or certain subspecialties that physicians have. Quite complicated to explain the system, but simply to highlight that the certification system of physicians is a complicated concept. It is done by the Royal College of Physicians and Surgeons, which provides certification of all physicians except the family physicians. They have certification of 80 disciplines, 30 specialties, 35 subspecialties, 3 focused programs, and 13 areas of focused competence. So all of these specialties and subspecialties are regulated or have certain standards that are being set by the Royal Colleges. So it's a complex number of specialties to oversee, and the public isn't always aware of what they mean. The family physicians are certified by another body, so through an enhanced skill program. And I mentioned that here, the certification program, to simply highlight the background to one particular controversy that gives you a good example of the type of problems that we've seen in the Canadian context in the last couple of years. I think Colleen mentioned already the cosmetic surgery controversy in the Canadian context. So not so long ago, so probably a decade, 15 years ago, we saw in the Ontario context serious problems, including people dying in cosmetic surgery clinics, which were set up by family physicians with no specialty training in surgery, who are providing anesthesiology in unsafe circumstances. So some people died in the context of these clinics. So it took a long time for the Ministry of Health and regulatory colleges to take an initiative, and basically the Ministry of Health took or pushed the colleges also to move forward with regulation. So the Regulatory Health Professions Act was changed, give the College of Physicians and Surgeons more power to inspect how the hospital locations were anesthesia, because it was considered to be particularly risky how untrained family physicians were sometimes providing general anesthesia to people who were involved in cosmetic surgery. They introduced a system of peer assessment of surgical procedures and competency. They did a review of the change of scope of practice policy, and introduced, which is strange because the public in general would have presumed that when you called yourself a cosmetic surgeon that you had some kind of training in surgery. So the reality was there was no protection of the term surgery, or no limitation to how you could call yourself if you were practicing as a family physician, for example, cosmetic surgery. So this change of the scope of practice issued specific rules that you could not call yourself a surgeon unless you had followed particular certification programs by the Royal College of Physicians and Surgeons, or followed specific standards set by the colleges. An information guide was provided again to promote understanding of the public. The question is whether the public really accesses these information guides when they go for surgery. Another very interesting, devastating controversy that highlights the limitations in some of the with some of the specialties, some of the certification programs, was the controversy that occurred around Dr. Charles Smith. Dr. Charles Smith was the chief child pathologist in the province of Ontario. Each time that a child died in suspicious services, the office of the chief pathologist was involved in analyzing whether something was done here to the child that merited criminal investigation. And Dr. Charles Smith, clear from the investigation that occurred later, for several decades operated with a particular tunnel vision. So when he was confronted with people from social disadvantaged environment, single moms who were struggling to go by, he had a tendency to find problems. Some of these problems, some of his misdiagnoses were outrageous and hard to understand actually from an outsider, but apparently there's some told you reasons why he could make these mistakes, but it shows you his professional competency. For example, at one point a child was bitten to pieces by a pit bull in the basement of the house while the mother was upstairs, and the chief pathologist came to the conclusion that contrary to her story, the child actually died of of stab wounds. And the case went to trial. And often what would happen in these dramatic cases was that the lawyer for the criminally accused would simply say, well, you're up against the chief pathologist of Ontario, you cannot win this case, you better plead guilty. So there's some outrageous cases of misconduct of justice where people were criminally convicted on the basis of the extremely incompetent assessment of evidence. An inquiry ensued. Former appeal court judge investigated several of these cases and also the systematic problems that they revealed. And so the investigation revealed that there was a lack of control of the standards of pathology, that a hierarchical structure existed with, on the top, Dr. Charles Smith, who nobody wanted to question. So a typical example of how in the of medicine, when you have only a few proper players in a specialty, people really basically respond to authority with respect and are in a difficult position to question issues. So anyway, so if you're interested in this, there's actually 3 volumes of a report which actually looked into the problems with certification and the training of pathologists in the province of Ontario. A more recent case, which again highlights some problems, is the case of Elizabeth Wetlow, who's a nurse, who has recently been convicted after it became apparent that she actually, over a period of several years, had been systematically killing elderly people in her care. So I think she used insulin basically to kill the patient. And what was revealed was that there were institutional failures, and that different institutional players failed to report problems with her practice. Institutions would fire her, but would not send on information about her mispractice. Nursing college didn't really, was not fully aware, and even when reports were filed, they didn't follow up with that. The coroner's office didn't investigate the reason why people died in her care. The labor union supporting nurses were actually partly also responsible for protecting her when she was fired, so that she would not face. Obviously, they didn't know about the fact that she was killing the patient, but they would protect her in professional regulatory system. So again, kind of highlighting a problem with the lack of oversight and active intervention by pathologists in, or a difficulty of the pathologists to really uncover cases of misbehavior. Another area where we see ongoing problems is with the communication between the regulatory pathologists. Physicians move between the provinces, move from the United States to Canada. They may have been held responsible or accountable for professional misconduct. They may even have been radiated or scrapped from the certification in a particular state in the US, but can come to Canada, and the public would not be informed about their misbehavior in other provinces. Nearly at the end. So, okay, so here, these are some kind of particular controversies that highlight problems with oversight, with transparency, communications with the public, communications between the regulatory agencies in different jurisdictions. In general, I would also say there are procedural issues in the structure of oversight itself. How relations between the medical professions and patients continue. The regulatory policies are often criticized for, even though they involve patients in the or public members of the public in the decision-making process, that they are dominated by professionals. There are complaints about the transparency of the decision-making by the pathologists and information sharing with the public. And there are particular concerns also about the very aggressive way in which physicians are supported by an insurance agency, the Canadian Medical Protective Association, which very staunchly defends physicians in the regulatory proceeding and in the proceedings also before the courts. So patients are in a very difficult position when they challenge decisions by, say, the disciplinary committee. The doctors will go before the appeal board with their lawyers, with lawyers of the powerful law firms in Toronto. So you will have the qualifications representing themselves. So there's an inequity in the relation or in the power that these people have when they go before the decision-making bodies. Overall, I would also say, coming to my last point, that this all reflects the complexity of the regulatory quality control, particularly when there are adverse events. When things happen in an institutional setting, it often involves different professions. It involves nurses, social workers, physicians. So health professional colleges all have a role to play in investigations. There are efforts to coordinate these investigations, so collaboration between regulatory colleges, but there may still be tensions between the fact that so many different regulatory colleges. There's also complexity in the overall quality control in the healthcare setting, which Paulina already mentioned. There are different statutory regulatory regimes, accreditation systems, different regulatory advisory bodies, depending on the type of health facilities and professions involved. So, my conclusion, the health professions regulatory system in Ontario is developed with the public interest in mind, but there continues to be inherent tensions because of professional self-interest, our relation to continue problems of transparency and public accountability. Professional self-regulatory system remains complex, particularly also as a result of interaction with other regulatory regimes, health quality, and finally, the controversies expose, I would say, sometimes remarkable gaps in the regulatory control system. Thank you.
Obrigado, Trudo. Foi uma apresentação bastante completa. Mostra que temos desafios comuns, embora o modelo canadense de autorregulação tenha mais relação com o common law que funciona lá e acaba tendo uma efetividade um pouco mais maior do que a brasileira. Eu gostaria agora de passar a palavra para o Dharmesh Lau para a sua apresentação do modelo regulatório indiano. Por favor, Dharmesh.
See if we find you.
So, welcome back. Good afternoon. Sessions after lunch are always difficult to have good participation from both the speakers as well as the participants. So that is another challenge for all of us. You agree? Yes, thank you very much. So again, I take opportunity to thank Professor Fernando for making me part of this, again, important deliberations. And as I said in the morning in my session, that because I have been asked by Professor Fernando to speak in two parts, so I try to make part one in the morning. So this part will be more or less a continuation of what I said in the morning. So now, as we know, this is about health workforce regulatory models across the world, different challenges and possible solutions. So again, this I'll be trying to speak whatever has been said earlier by Monica and immediately before by Trudeau, and whatever I have heard and discussed with my discussion with Professor Fernando while he was in Delhi and his colleagues. So as I said in the morning, that in India, as far as the health issues are concerned, they are only dealt by one single ministry. That is Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. No other ministry is involved, including the education part. So it is not only the health delivery system or health delivery component, it is about medical education component also. So that means the power, the authority to legislate even on the medical education component, that rests with central government. So under that power, though the respective states government, they do have their state ministries, health ministries. They have owned their departments, respective departments, but they are just there to implement what has been legislated by parliament at the central level. So that is that. So this is very important fundamental things which I would like to bring to the notice of the participants here. And Monica, Monica emphasized in her presentation about three things. Once she talked about, I think thrice she talked and emphasized on this aspect. One was about the governance system. She told us that governance is an issue while we want to address about regulatory models across different regions. Then she mentioned about the access issue and the education issue. I think education component for regulating the health workforce, as for other domain also, is very, very important component to have ultimate bearings how the system or the health workforce works. But as Monica said, that it is very challenging to do some changes or to even bring about some changes at the governance level, because it entails the involvement of the government of the day, the leaders of the day, the different political parties. And mostly these changes, whatever we are seeing in different countries across the world, as far as the health workforce is concerned, are largely to be dictated and decided and ultimately regulated by the government and the laws of the day. So in Indian system, the law is made by the parliament, the Indian parliament at the central level. And in Indian parliament, I would like to say the most legislations, most of the time, they are depending upon the ruling party. Ruling party means the party having or the coalition having the majority in the parliament. And in our system, Indian system of the government, legislation is like we have two bicameral system, because as like British, because we have some component in our Indian constitution from British constitutions. So Indian constitution is bicameral. That means we have two kinds of houses in the parliament. One house is called as Lok Sabha and the other house is called the Rajya Sabha. The Lok Sabha, in the Lok Sabha we have members of parliament who are directed, chosen by the public. We vote and then they are elected and they become the members of the parliament. So this house is the most powerful house, that is Lok Sabha, because they are directly elected by the people, we as voters. Then we have another house, it's called as Rajya Sabha. The Rajya Sabha we do have members of parliaments who are not chosen directly by the voters, but it depends upon the strength of the assemblies, different state assemblies. So on that basis, these members are nominated by different political parties. So Rajya Sabha is indirectly the entry to the parliament, and the Lok Sabha is the direct entry to the parliament. So why I'm telling you this? Because in our system, the Lok Sabha is the most powerful body, and ultimately it decides the legislation, ultimately. So what happens? So Lok Sabha comes out with a bill in the parliament, debates, then once it agrees on a particular bill, then this bill is sent to the Rajya Sabha. So once the bill goes to the Rajya Sabha at the most can debate and discuss, and again can send this bill for reconsideration to the Lok Sabha, and again it can come again back to the Rajya Sabha, and once it comes to second time to the Rajya Sabha, then Rajya Sabha has no other, power or authority to refuse now. They have to agree, debate, and at the most they can suggest some amendment. And if the government agrees that is in Lok Sabha, then it is okay. Otherwise, it is considered as passed. So then it becomes a law. So this is about how broadly the system in our country works as far as the legislation at the national level is concerned. Now, similarly, the same kind of mechanism, as I said in the morning, there are 29 states. If you remember, I recall in the morning, I said 29 states. So same kind of system is there at the state level also. That is called as assemblies. So at the assembly level also, we have a bicameral system. It's works same in a similar fashion. So now, as far as the medical education is concerned, so now the same way the legislation is made by this parliament. So once this legislation is made by the parliament for the medical education, then it becomes applicable throughout the country. It is same. That means the states have no role to tinker with this law. So so simplification of this means that what a doctor should have a qualification to be registered as a practicing physician. So this has been decided by the central government. Now state government has nothing to do. They cannot tinker with this law. So whatever the central government has decided, it has to be followed and implemented by the state government. So now, how this system works? Now in Indian context, as I said, the Ministry of Health is the only body which relates and deals with the health issues, be it the delivery system or the medical education system. Now, to implement all these things, the regulation of the health workforce and other things, we do have different councils. So the parliament, the Indian parliament makes a law. Then under the law, these councils are constituted by the central government. Like say, for example, allopathic doctors. We have a council for allopathic doctors called as Medical Council of India, or it is called as MCI. So MCI means it's a body which is there, and it is a statutory body which has been enacted under the law by the parliament, and it is there to regulate the comprehensive standard. I will just detail you out some of the standards which MCI regulate. And as I said, these are to be implemented by all the state governments. Now, this medical council on its own, again I am telling you one fundamental thing which I think Professor Fernando and I had a discussion morning also, he described about this, is different from Brazilian health system. These councils, they do not have any power to tinker with the law. That means, suppose a council under the act, it has been decided by the parliament that a allopathic doctor should have these qualifications, then only to be registered. So medical council cannot do and change this. They cannot. Their role is only to implement this in a strictest fashion. If it has to be changed, it has to be changed by the parliament. So they have to go back to the parliament to get it changed. Then only it can be done, as we discussed while you were in the Delhi also. Yeah. So this is about medical council. So all the councils which are there in India, they are to be found in a similar fashion by the parliament, and the body, the different council role is to have a day-to-day monitoring of the laws and implement it throughout the country. Now now example, I give you what the medical council does, how it is enforcing the regulation of health workforce. So as Monica told about, she emphasized the second point was about the education point, education issue. So now this medical council of India, they are having thousands of standards. I do not have the exact number for the standards because they are widely divergent and in the different headings they are coming. So for they have divergent and comprehensive standards, educational standards. So that means they start with the infrastructure, say building. So any institute to be called as a medical school, first of all, a different standards for even building. For example, what should be the width of the corridor also? So it is there as a part of the standard. So these kind of standards are being laid down by the Medical Council of India as far as the building or the infrastructure is concerned. So now as a part of the infrastructure, they have conditions like that this to be called as a medical school, they should have these kind of faculty members, like what their qualification should be. So again, this can't be changed by the medical council. They are just to enforce this. So this, they have standard like what kind of standard the medical faculty should have. A particular experience and education only will give a particular professor or a faculty member a position in the medical school. And not only this, Medical Council of India also decide how many numbers of a particular faculty members are to be there so that a particular department can be said a certified department as far as MCI is concerned. So suppose if the MCI is saying, say for example, in University of South Polo, there is a University School of Public Health. So as far as the Medical Council of India goes, if it is saying that for this public school of public health in South Polo, for example, should have 10 professors, 5 associate professors, and 4 assistant professors, then only it will be certified as a full-fledged school of public health, licensed to impart the education in public health, then only it will be given certificate to have these courses. Otherwise, it's not allowed to start this course. So that is how it functions as far as this educational standard is concerned. The other component, as far as the educational standard component is concerned, which you were talking about, is how a particular student can get admission to medical school. Again, this condition is decided and regulated by Medical Council of India throughout the country, and it is same. No difference wherever you go. So Medical Council of India decides how a particular student, if he or she wants to be a doctor, so what are the conditions to be fulfilled before a particular student is taken into a medical school as a medical student. Now, for this to happen, we have a uniform system of examination in our country. Throughout, we have a uniform system of examination. So we have only one examination system to admit these students in any of the medical school anywhere. So every student who is interested to become a medical student has to go through this examination, and on the basis of a national merit, then that particular student on the is eligible to get admission into a particular school as per the merit. So these are being done to ensure the uniformity across the country. And the other thing which the Medical Council of India does is about how are the infrastructure part or the equipment part of particular medical school. So they have a different standards for each department. So only there's a long list. So only when this list is complete, in addition to what I mentioned, other thing like educational, infrastructure, building wise, then only a particular department is allowed to start a medical school. But again, I would like to mention here that a particular medical school will be given a license, a particular institute will be given a license to start a medical school, not a departmental wise. They should have a minimum number of departments for, say, for example, undergraduation or post-graduation. Then only they can get a license, and then only they can start a medical school. Then after this, for now, all these medical schools, they have to conduct their teaching program, their practical examinations, practical experiences, the field visits, the hospital exposure, again as per the standard already set by MCI. So that means if you travel to any medical school in India, you should find them theoretically similar. Means number of lectures to be taken, the kind of lectures to be taken, the field experiences to be given, the kind of examination to be given, all those sorts of things are to be uniform across any of the medical schools, so that they try to have a uniform standard across India as far as this medical education standards are concerned. Then another component of regulating the education standard is that these medical schools, they cannot have their own independent examination. Though the student has been admitted in a particular medical school, that student is studying in a particular medical school, but this examination are to be conducted by a university which has nothing to do with this particular medical school. It's an independent university. So that, what is the meaning of that? The meaning of that all the examinations which are to be conducted by this particular medical school are to be administered, set, decided, and ultimately the results to be done by that independent university which has nothing to do with this particular school, a medical school. And even while conducting this medical examination, during the final examination, we have a provisions of independent external experts. They do come during the examination and they do decide to take viva and other sort of thing, so that ultimately the results are announced by the university. So all these are some of the components which I shared with you as far as the educational standards are concerned, which Monica has highlighted in his presentation. Then it is similar for other, and this is now this kind of, which I explained to you in detail, quite detail about Medical Council of India. So this sort of arrangement applies to other councils also. We have another council for Dental Council of India. We have Nursing Council of India. We do have Pharmacy Council of India. And now we are going to have very recently, I would like to tell you about that thing also. Recently, last year, we have introduced in our parliament a bill called National Medical Commission Bill, NMC. So now they have made further changes what I just described to you. In those now, every medical doctor, before registration, despite all this procedure which I explained to you, now every medical doctor, before getting certificate registration for practicing doctor, is mandatory, compulsory, has to undergo national examination. So that means any student who has come, studied in a medical school after all this process, again has to undergo a medical exam, national medical license examination. And when only that particular student clears that examination, then only the license will be issued, so that he or she can be a practicing physician. So this measure has been taken again to make it more and more standardized and to have a more uniformity across the country. So this is about Medical Council of India. I said that we have dental council, we have nursing council, pharmacy council, we have council for, like Trudeau was mentioning, about Ayurvedic, homeopathic councils, and now we have one more council coming, which will have around 50 kind of different professions, like medical technologist, radiographer, lab technician, dental technician. Those all will be coming under this council. It is any day going to be notified by the government. So under that council, this is called Allied Council for Health Workforce. Its name is Allied Council of Health Workforce. So it will have around 50 different professions, and the mode of operation will be same as like Medical Council of India. So ultimately, I repeat now, ultimately, the lawmaking is with the government. As far as the medical education, this is the central government, and the councils are there just to implement in toto. That means as it is. They can't tinker. And beside this, the judiciary in our country, they are fully empowered and independent. If they feel like, if anybody approaches the judiciary, they can take and interpret the law, and they can come out with their own judgment whether the act of the parliament was breached or not. Suppose a doctor is not able to perform the functions, or there's some negligence, or some issues with the educational standard, which I mentioned about medical schools. So anybody feel grieved can approach the court, and court can take independent decision of the government, and they can come out with a judgment which will be binding upon all the concerned party. Now, we do have in our system private schools also and the government schools also, but all of these come under the same law as far as the medical education is concerned. Then another important thing which I would like to mention here is that the roles of each profession, like any specialization, psychiatrist, pathologist, surgeon, is clearly defined. And we have again the same Medical Council of India regulates in the same fashion which I have described you for undergraduation, and same kind of process is followed. And we do have super specialization also, again the similar kind of process is followed. And until unless, as Trudeau was mentioning, that there is some confusion in Canada, he was mentioning, until unless a particular profession gets this qualification, postgraduate qualification from a recognized medical college, that person is not allowed to practice in that particular profession. That means, for example, if surgeon is not having a particular recognized medical qualification from a medical school, that person cannot be, said or cannot be taken as surgeon, nor he or she can practice. It is a breach of law. Then council are also empowered, as I said, they can take action on their own also, in form of, say, as Trudeau and in the morning, Colin and other speakers were mentioning, it's kind of a self-regulation. They can also take action on their own also, if anybody approaches them, or if somebody is not satisfied, they can approach the court of law, and then, as I said earlier, court of law can take independent decision and they decide, and that will be binding upon government and all the other stakeholders. So again, repetition. Then we have a central government laws, how we regulate. Then the states are the implementing authorities, but only for some categories. We still have large number of categories where we do not have any council, nor we are even discussing also, like some front-line health workers, who are working in the field. We do not have any kind of councils for them, because government thinks that they are not directly into the patient care. They are more into the community-based care. So for them, we do not have those kind of council. And our system, what I described is, as far as the monitoring is concerned, we have more and more challenges to implement what I have described you. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, you are welcome. Any questions?
Obrigado, Dharmesh. A gente vê que o sistema da Índia também tem bastante de autorregulação, mas um poder regulatório central importante. Acho que a gente pode deixar os debates para o fim e passar a palavra imediatamente para o Stefani fazer a sua apresentação sobre a regulação de profissões de saúde na França. Então, mais uma vez, Stefani, obrigado por estar aqui conosco. É sempre um prazer recebê-lo. O Stefani é um parceiro já de longa data do nosso centro, que nós temos uma parceria com o Instituto de Direito da Saúde da Universidade de Paris, e ele é um especialista no tema. Então, acho que a gente pode aproveitar muito o seu conhecimento.
So, muito obrigado. We will talk about regulation of health professions in France, and particularly about the influence of the European Union on the regulation of health profession in France. So it's just a specific part of the regulation, because we'll see that the European Union doesn't regulate lots of aspects of health professions in France. So first, to reward you to be there at this time, and to listen to me a second time, I will make you a gift. So my research center, not the CPDs, but the one in Paris, published an ebook, which is free, about the regulation of health professionals in European Union. It's not the whole union, but a comparison between 6 or 8 countries in Europe. So maybe I will just make a change in. I will give you. Sure, give you the address. So, if you're interested in such an ebook, which is in French, it's an occasion to improve French, maybe. It's free, so you can go to this site and you will see that in the publications of the research center. And in this ebook, there were several partners, but the French author that wrote it showed us that in Europe you have different kinds of regulations and different kinds of health systems. You have some systems which are, as the French one, built around a typical model, which is a private, individual one, and after it became more collective. And you have systems, for example, which is built around universal rights. Maybe the name of beverage tells you something. And which is a collective system with cooperations between professionals in the principal application, but so really different systems. So knowing about that, we could tell us that it's impossible or difficult to have common regulation in an area as the European Union, which has nowadays 28 states, soon 27, certainly, but 28. But it's not a problem when you talk about social rights. Great Britain is out. So talking about social rights, we are 27 and less 27. But it's a big area, lots of different systems. However, it's necessary and possible. Not an unification, not a unique system, but some common rules are possible. Necessary because it's necessary for health workforce to have possibilities to work in other countries. And sometimes it could be better for the patients and the users themselves. Possible because in the European Union law, you have different kind of rules. You have rules who just fix objectives, and then states can transpose it into their national laws with some differences. You know? So we'll see that, and we also talk about the reconciliation necessary between the principles built the European Union. European Union is not a political union. It's a common market. It's an economic union. And then, long years after, social rights, some social rights came. No, and it's not a political union. See that. So the first principles of European Union are free movement for especially services, goods, capitals, and persons. Persons are first workers in European Union. But free movement can also imply that a physician, a nurse, a physiotherapist who had training in a very far country, with a different system, with maybe not public universities or just a few, could have his activity in a very different system. So, no, it's possible for some kind of works, but it's not possible for some kind of professions like some employers and especially health professions, because the security and safety of the patients involved. So we have a specific attention about the European Union rules about the recognition of the qualifications of the health professionals when they want to move from a state to another. And that's because this recognition is difficult. That's why the European Union interested in health, in common health rules, or else there are no common health rules about health system, about especially professional regulation of health professionals. So, and we'll talk about in a shorter party about trying to cross legal borders. We will see what about. So, what kind of system of recognition do we have? So, first, you have to know that regulation of health professionals, for the most part, remains an ability for the member states. Okay, so France, Germany, and all the other ones decide themselves how they want to regulate their professions, their health professionals. Okay, but European Union intervenes to facilitate the recognition of qualifications. Say, okay, some professions have the same training, so maybe physicians who has training in France would have activity in Germany. It's possible. So EU facilitates this recognition to access or pursue a regulated profession, and we have the health professionals within the. So we have two texts, actually one, but first, directive in 2005, modified actually 8 years ago. So these texts were important. We will talk about. These texts have been coded into French law, so health professional coming from another member state may have a permanent activity in France, first, if he has a degree recognized as the same as French degree. So if a physician coming from other member states wants to have a permanent activity in France, so he can do recognize his degree. So the system is simple and simple. You have in the directive, you have templates with the name of the professions. So there are 5 or 6 professions: physicians, nurses, midwives, pharmacists, and dental surgeons. So for these professions, you have templates, you have the name of the degree, you have the kind of the training of the body. You can deliver the degree. Physicians, only university can deliver and if your situation is concerned by templates, you can have permanent in the state. And if you're not in this situation, everything is not. You can have an individual authorization. So this is the state, health ministry in France, who consider the qualifications and will give 5 authorizations. So important diplomas, background, professional trainings, and it can be completed by a test or by an internship, or else, or by both, if necessary. If the professional wants to have a temporary activity, so if you becomes to a professional who be in the templates, with an automatic recognition. So, physicians, nurses, pharmacists, and dental surgery. Preliminary declaration including recruitment commitment from a health institution and a professional project. But if you don't belong to one of these professions, a control of professional qualifications is necessary. So if your degree is not automatically, the ministry will control monitor these qualifications. So you have 2 systems, but it can be some kind of easy to have an activity in another member state, especially because you at this time have a system with a professional card, when it's more freely movement. But sometimes you have some difficulties to interpret these texts. And just a few examples given by the Court of Justice of the European Union. First, principles. Free movement of services or workers can be limited by the member states with some kind of different rules. But it can be limited if there is no discrimination based on nationality. You can have requirements for the health professionals, but for every health professional. Limits pursues an aim of general interest and protection of health. Is one of this general interest admitted by the courts. The limit isn't disproportionate regarding the aim. Also a control made by this court. So a few examples. The state member law can enforce a dental technician to work with a dental practitioner because he has a specific area of intervention. So the protection of public health can permit a state member law to do that. And which is also interesting that the Court of Justice still permits to the state members to have territorial policy about health. For examples, a state member can require and enforce a minimum duration of activity in the host state, provide financial assistance. Now this morning about the financial institutions that the French state can deliver to physicians when they go to an area where there are a lot of physicians. This kind of financial assistance can be given to physicians coming from another state, but the French state can also require a minimum duration of activity. It's a limit to the free movement, but it's necessary to have relevant territorial policy. It's also possible to forbid selling medication out of the pharmacy net. This case is was about 3 Italian pharmacists, para-pharmacists, wanted to sell medication not reimbursed by the health insurance. Well, but it was possible only in the net. So, a few examples. So the right protects government of national, but also permits the state member to protect. So, with limits to the free movement. And we can also have a trend to cross legal borders. So, to grant legal borders, to cross legal borders, can be a good news for the public health or not. First, the bad news. Good news, maybe. First, to spread the free movement, so can be at the expense of public health. Because in the directive of 2013, modified first, is permitted, it's also an obligation for the state to permit partial access to health professions. We don't have lots of examples, actually, but it means that physiotherapists, just is allowed in this country to do some part of acts, physiotherapist, just some kind of part of the body, or some kind of gesture, could be authorized to have activity in France, but just for the part of this the activity is authorized, is able, allowed to to have in his country. So it's really criticized system, but just a few conditions. So the professional is fully qualified for this part of the activity in the home member state first. He has a degree, but the degree isn't sufficient in the state where he wants to go. He should follow, if he wanted to have an activity in France, for example, he should follow a complete education program. He couldn't just with a test or an internship. He couldn't have. He should go back, come back at the beginning of the education. And this activity, and this is certainly the biggest problem. Certainly, this activity could be objectively separated from the whole profession. So, which kind of activity could be objectively separated from the whole profession? We don't know. Union that, but they didn't tell us what is an objective separation from the whole. So, can be refused by the ministry regarding to the public health. But, however, this kind of partial access has been still criticized in France, elsewhere in Europe, because the quality may suffer from just can call it a decrease of the qualification. I don't know how we can call this kind of access to it's a decrease. Qualifications related to a profession. And consequently, the value of the diploma, the social value of the profession. Okay, you are a nurse or are you a partial nurse? Means the name of the profession. Of course, we could object that when you are granted to have a partial access to France, you have to exercise with the name of the profession in your country. Maybe doesn't mean anything in France. You have a specific degree or diploma in another country. So I don't know which kind of activity could be concerned. And so professionals. If you have your activity not in a private and liberal way, but if you are in an institution. In an institution, public or private institution, you have salary rules, and you can't pay in a different way. Some different professionals who have on the title the same activity. So, which kind different we have in the wages for these professionals? It could be also the origin of litigations, of conflicts, social conflicts, and which is a certainty that the professionals in France are united and understand the way of the health profession. They are united to criticize this partial access. But to cross legal borders, and this is not a European rule, but it's a European trend. So, it's a kind of soft law, in the European level, is to permit to professionals to cross border of their initial qualifications. And maybe you heard about that, of the advanced nursing. Here, okay. So we will have it in France in the text since last Thursday. Yeah. So I don't know yet really well how it will be. So it's a practice. When you practice, I talked about the nurse profession, but also some other. Your practice to have a higher level, and to have some abilities of another profession, especially physician, which is already made in France, but it's not right by the law. And when you talk with some lawyers specialized in health law, especially in some big institutions in Paris, they tell you that every day you have made some acts that they legally can't, that they are legally only physicians can do. So it's a way of evolution, in Europe, in France soon, and maybe it's another kind of evolution we can expect. Thank you.
Então, espero. Obrigado, Stefane. Eu gostaria imediatamente de abrir a palavra para o público. Como a doutora Mônica tem que sair, porque ela tem que pegar um voo, se alguém tem alguma pergunta especificamente endereçada a ela, a gente passa na frente.
Eu queria fazer uma correlação, Mônica, por favor, se for possível, entre as práticas interprofissionais e a regulação, especialmente, quer dizer, a OPS apresenta como um dos seus motes, como uma das suas diretrizes, a atividade interprofissional. Nós tivemos aqui, até onde pude acompanhar, uma descrição de diretrizes bastante estritas, pelo menos na Índia e na França, para a ação profissional, né? Restringindo até, por exemplo, até onde eu entendi, vamos supor que uma enfermeira pediátrica ela é autorizada apenas para a enfermagem pediátrica, então não poderia ter outro tipo de tratamento. Quer dizer, é uma restrição no âmbito da própria profissão, no meu entender, conflita com essa diretriz mais geral, não é apenas uma diretriz, mas um moto, né? Algo que nos inspira, que é a interprofissionalidade.
Bom, isso aí? Tem alguma coisa mais ou só isso? Ok. Sobre o tema você está com... Sobre o tema da interprofissionalidade, em realidade é uma categoria que se aplica na formação e no trabalho, verdade? Acho que aí um pouco o conceito de interprofissionalidade, inclusive no Brasil, eu acho que tem muito tempo antes que ser colocado como uma linha desde a Organização Mundial da Saúde, verdade? Então, nesse sentido, o conceito de interprofissionalidade como a conjunção de pessoas para trabalhar em conjunto que aparece no trabalho, ela exige outra regulação das profissões. Agora, se hace muito ênfase na interação dentro dos processos de formação, mas dentro dos processos de formação, o mais importante é como os estudantes se inserem no processo de educação dentro dos serviços. Então, ali os marcos regulatórios são aqueles que modificam a relação do estudante dentro do mercado, dentro do serviço mesmo, e o uso dos campos de prática. Então, nessa linha um pouco que a interprofissionalidade poderia ser facilitada, o qual implica também modificações já mais administrativas e estruturais dentro dos processos educativos e também dentro dos processos de trabalho. Então, a interprofissionalidade está nesse espaço antigamente chamado integração docência-serviço, verdade? Onde a regulação não é mais bem dos campos, dos escopos de prática, mas da inserção profissional como estudantes dentro dos processos de trabalho. Esse é um debate complexo que está sendo colocado, verdade? E acho que é importante explorar nele. Tem vários movimentos dentro da educação que em sistemas de saúde mais organizados já conseguem pôr em comunicação os diferentes profissionais para os processos formativos e de inserção no trabalho. Aqui também no Brasil tem várias experiências, mas não é o mais usado, verdade? O mais utilizado. Eu queria só fazer um comentário para antes de ir, primeiro, com muita pena ter que ir antes, porque está super interessante, mas fazer um ênfase na apresentação que eu fiz, eu acho que não completei o valor das agendas coletivas, o valor das agendas que se impulsionam na região. E ali a experiência europeia, por exemplo, permite colocar como, muitas vezes, o que não é possível ser feito dentro de um país, quando existem nos processos de integração a vontade de fazerem, é mais fácil um pouco sortear essa dificuldade regulatória. Então, eu queria resgatar um pouco isso em termos da possibilidade de colocar uma agenda política que menciona um dever ser talvez muito ideal, mas que pode ser uma ferramenta de lobby e ali tanto as agendas como a geração de evidências sobre práticas são insumos super importantes para poder avançar. Senti que a posição está muito pessimista e eu acho que sim, podemos fazer muita coisa. Eu agradeço muito, Fernando, e vou ter que retirar-me fazendo um pouco de barulho aí, agradeço demais, perdão.
Obrigado, Mônica. Eu acho que essa é a ideia mesmo, a gente aprender, principalmente a União Europeia, que é um dos modelos de integração mais bem-sucedidos, mas como o próprio Stefani comentou, guarda relação primeiro com o mercado comum e depois passando para direitos sociais. Eu gostaria de abrir, enfim, para mais questões e interações aqui de vocês com os nossos palestrantes dessa tarde. Se tem alguma dúvida, provocação, algum aspecto que vocês gostariam de perguntar. Se não, eu gostaria de fazer algumas perguntas aqui. A primeira endereçada ao Trudo, porque eu me lembro do que eu conheci do modelo regulatório canadense. Uma das novidades que nos animou muito em pensar o aperfeiçoamento do modelo brasileiro seria a possibilidade, em dois aspectos. Primeiro, aquele órgão de revisão acima dos conselhos que o Canadá existe. Então, se pudesse falar um pouquinho mais sobre como esses órgãos funcionam e a relação desses órgãos com os próprios conselhos. E o outro aspecto era uma abertura dos conselhos profissionais para uma participação de integrantes que não são exclusivamente os profissionais dos respectivos conselhos, que também é uma experiência que eu vi no Canadá e que me pareceu bastante interessante. E a outra questão que eu gostaria de colocar aqui, tanto para o Dharmesh quanto para o Stefani, seria relacionada ao papel do Ministério da Saúde na regulação das profissões de saúde nos respectivos países, Índia e França. Então, pelo que a gente ouviu de vocês, os ministérios da saúde nesses países têm um papel de protagonismo e de definição de grande parte da política e da regulação, com uma relação, às vezes, de maior autonomia para os conselhos e, às vezes, de maior poder para os ministérios. Então, se vocês pudessem explorar um pouco mais esse papel do Ministério da Saúde e a relação do Ministério da Saúde com a autonomia dos conselhos e a autorregulação, seria interessante para a gente poder pensar nos nossos modelos aqui no Brasil. Então, vocês poderíamos começar com o Trudo.
Want me to comment on that particular issue? Yeah. So, it's interesting. So the health professions view and appeal board, appeal and review board, HBAR, is an interesting model. But I'll give you one example of how I think it still has the limitations that system that intrinsically it really reflects the model of self-regulation, but with a marginal review on the reasonableness and on particularly the procedural side of the decision making by the colleges. So I've recently been following and somewhat supporting the case of a woman who actually herself a doctor whose husband died in complex circumstances in a clinical research involving complex medical procedures. And the only reason why it actually went through the system was because she is I think it highlights the kind of the difficulties also in a regulatory system around medicine of bringing things forward. The only reason why it actually went to the colleges while she filed the complaint, why she even undertook a court proceedings at the same time, was that she had an ability to read the medical file and see that there were some problems with what had been happening with her husband, who was also a physician. So this is in the Toronto context. So she filed a complaint to the College of Physicians and Surgeons. College of Physicians and Surgeons investigated, but because of the highly unusual experimental procedure that was used, there are not a lot of experts in the country that could give an independent advice about what happened in that particular research study in which he died. And so the College of Physicians and Surgeons send the file to an expert in British Columbia, the other side of the country, who issued a report and basically came to the conclusion that there is no problem in how the research was being conducted and had been set up. Now, this particular physician also did further research and detected and found out that the expert in British Columbia who had provided an advice to the College of Physicians and Surgeons on the basis of which they made a decision basically to say, well, we looked at the evidence, there's no problem here, was involved in the same research study as the investigator against whom there was a complaint. So I would say from an administrative law perspective, a clear example of a conflict of interest. So she consulted me, or we discussed her issue, and I said, well, if there is something that the Health Professions Appeal and Review Board can do, it's to send decisions back on the basis of procedural violations. And I thought this is a clear example of a conflict of interest. You have somebody who, on the basis of which the college makes a decision, who has a clear conflict of interest, who recommends that there is no problem or says there is no problem. She files a complaint to HBARB. I went to the hearings. The judge, the panel, so an independent lawyer, layperson, and professional, seemed sympathetic. When the decision came out, they said it was not material to the final decision. It wouldn't have made a difference if it was somebody else. So they rejected the complaint. I think it highlights, again, the fact that these administrative structures look nice on paper, but in reality, they're very hesitant to overrule material decisions in complex cases where the colleges have made the decision that there is no problem. It also highlights that then that you have to look at the reality of the political, professional context in which this happens. Canada is a big country, but at the same time with a small population. Everybody knows everybody, particularly in the medical profession. So medical professionals who are sending out this file knew also know all of the stakeholders involved. So they're uncomfortable situations in which even the independent bodies have difficulty stepping up and basically protecting the individuals, even when there are clear procedural violations. Anyway, so I would say yes, it's an interesting model. Yes, patients bring these cases forward to the HPAR, but as you may have heard from conversations you had in Toronto with some of the people involved, it's very, very rare that HPAR overrules or sends back a file of that decision that was made by the College of Physicians and Surgeons. They're very hesitant to do so. And you also have to again think about what I said about the power relations. When in this case you had actually a powerful woman who was a doctor who understood what went wrong in the research, but she, and even with financial means, it was too expensive for her to hire a lawyer all the way through the proceedings. So she defended herself in front of the HPAR. She doesn't know so well administrative law, administrative arguments, so she had a tendency to talk too much about the material facts, the evidence itself, and not so much about the procedural issues that a lawyer would have emphasized. So you have individual patients. So this was a doctor, but take the case of a poor patient who doesn't fully understand what's happening. He goes to HPAR, he's there. The other party is represented by a very powerful lawyer who has done this 20 times, 30 times, 40 times, 50 times. So the reality is, yes, it looks nice on paper, but it has serious limitations because of the inherent contextual issues and the power relation. I don't know if Pauline wants to comment on this as well, but she.
I think your question was about the role of the government as opposed to the self-regulating bodies. And so we have a mediating tribunal between the government and the self-regulating. But I think in Ontario, the Health Services Appeal and Review Board is a very, very limited jurisdiction because of the way that it's been set up. So under the legislation, its jurisdiction is very narrow. So that's why patients don't do very well as the cultural context. But I think in the Canadian modality, it is very much more of a hands-off approach. Now, should it be? Probably not. So they cajole and they sometimes beg the colleges to finally move to do things. So Trudeau was talking about the problem of the private clinics providing cosmetic surgery, so family doctors doing cosmetic surgery. This was years and years and years. And the college essentially keeps saying things like, well, we don't know if we conservatively interpret our own jurisdiction to regulate these things. Well, it looked to me like you could drive a truck through it. But, it's sort of like there's no loss to them to say, well, we don't know if we have the jurisdiction. We want the government to pass legislation to make it clear we have jurisdiction. Like, for Pete's sake. So the government sort of says, we think you have jurisdiction to do something. And then finally they may move. So I think the question is whether there should be more direct regulation. I think Trudeau and I are suggesting yes. What's the right balance? That's the tricky part, right? So what's the right balance between being directive of the colleges and making sure that they are functioning properly? There's some oversight of what they do. And I think that actually goes to a lot more about transparency, making sure that there is reporting, that we see the number of, patient complaints that are made, investigated, all these kinds of things, I think would help in ensuring that they do a good job. And the last point I would just say, which I mentioned before, is I think what our experience has also showed us is that focusing on the professions themselves, don't forget the places where these things are, where they conduct their activities. So clinics and community centers and family offices, you know, hospitals, obviously. But don't forget those things as well when you're regulating the profession. These two things cannot be necessarily separated. And a whole of regulation approach would include the public and the private. And I think that's our experience as well, is that only focusing on one at the expense of the other, as the system evolves and changes and we move more into different kinds of providers and new realms of provision, and you're missing the boat because these things are emerging in the private sector, not the public sector, then, you know, the risks to the safety are the same for patients though, right? It doesn't really matter, does it, if you're having cosmetic surgery or back surgery?
Eu lembrei, enquanto o Trudo falava, a gente viu, né, nessa semana o caso do Dr. Bumbum aqui no Brasil. Não sei se vocês chegaram a ver, mas um cirurgião plástico brasileiro que está em maus lençóis porque matou uma paciente em procedimentos absolutamente fora do padrão, que ele fazia no próprio apartamento dele e sem nenhum tipo de especialização, e o conselho não fez. Então, é muito parecido com o caso que o Trudo trouxe. Só para complementar, a minha segunda parte da questão para o Trudo, relacionada com a participação de atores da sociedade nos conselhos profissionais, uma composição mais eclética dos conselhos. Então, se você puder falar dessa experiência também.
So you mean in the council themselves and in the committees? I don't have so much details about how exactly that functions, but there seem to be a good experience of you know, there's some training provided. There is some there are attempts to empower the external members who are participating in these councils, and they're constant changes, and so there's pressure also to increase the number of external members to create more accountability. But I haven't read any study kind of looking at what's the dynamic in these councils, and how do the committees exactly function, whether it works very, very well. I have more experience, which is not exactly the same, on research ethics committees, where if you can extrapolate the experience from their research ethics committees, which also have lay members, have a tendency to have the professionals dominate the debate. And so I think there is a need, when you have these committees with external membership, to have more than a token representative, more than just one representative. You need to train these people. You need to make sure that there are institutional structures or certain rules within the decision-making bodies of how they come to decisions that give external members power. So maybe in terms of how the vote is being conducted, so that they're not simply always outweighed by a majority vote. So does that answer a little bit your question?
Yeah, sure. Thanks. And Narmesh?
Thank you, Professor Fernando. 1 second. I think your question was that you would like to know more about work of Ministry of Health and Family Welfare and its role in regulating the health workforce. Yeah. As I mentioned in my second part and the first part also, that as far as India is concerned, the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare at the central level is the sole ministry concerning with the health issues, including the delivery as well as the medical education part. Now, health workforce regulation is primarily done by Constitution of Medical Council, which now in 2017, as I mentioned in my second part, now they have come out and they have introduced the bill in the parliament called as National Medical Commission Bill, NMC Bill, which will replace the MCI, Medical Council of India, with some changes, which I, because of paucity of time, because you were watching the watch, so I did not detail that aspect, deliberately. So now, present as far as the present arrangement is concerned, lawmaking in India it involves not only the government. So they involve a wider possible consultation across the length and breadth of the country. So suppose if the Ministry of Health wants to make a law on regulation of health workforce, like National Medical Commission Bill. So what they will do, they will invite experts from all over the country. They will invite the professional association like Medical Association, Doctors Association, the Nursing Association, the other association, their representatives. They can come out and they can give their views against this policy making. Then this policy making is open to the public also. It is widely announced in the newspaper, on the websites, on the internet, and public can also give its view. Like one example I give you one example. In 2017, we came out with National Health Policy, the third version of National Health Policy for India. That was done by the Government of India, Ministry of Health. So it was announced openly also, and I was told by the ministry that they received more than 5,000 suggestions from all over the country, besides from professional association and the experts. So they reviewed those 5,000 suggestions and interpretation from openly from public, and some of those things were incorporated in the final policy, National Health Policy of 2017. So that is the way they make law. Even for regulation of the health workforce, they invite the professional association, the public views, widest consultation. It goes on for months and years, and then they come out with a draft. It is introduced in the parliament, debated, discussed, and ultimately it goes. And then again, there might be, before becoming a law, there might be some amendments. Already have explained. So I've already explained to you. I will not repeat that process. Now, as far as the Medical Council of India is concerned, their mandate is clear. So, like one of the function of their mandate is to maintain the uniformity of the education standard for both post-graduation and undergraduation. So anybody wants to, and even super specialization, like after post-graduation, somebody has done the MBBS degree, that is undergraduation degree. Then next is the post-graduation degrees, we call in our India MD and MS degree. And then after that, we can have super specialization. In India, we call these as DM or MCS degree. If we have a super specialization in surgical branch, we call it as MCH. And if we do have any super specialization in any field which is related to the medicine, it is called DM degree. So we have MBBS degree, then post-graduation degree, and we have super specialization degree. So for all those three, this medical council maintained a separate standard across the nation, which already I told you. Then the medical council is having a power. Even after giving any license, at any stage they can cancel the license. It is not that once the license has been given, so that medical school can go and breach the laws and they can go on. Not like that. They are under the continuous process of monitoring. Now many of the processes they have done online. Now it is a live. Say for example, faculty members. So every faculty member attendance in the institute anywhere in the country is now connected with the satellite system, the centralized system. So wherever they know in a Delhi, in a server, that particular medical college, medical school, this many faculty members are there and who they are. Earlier what used to happen 15 years now, that some of the medical professors, medical faculty members, they used to hop from one medical school to another medical school. So that was degrading the quality of medical education, because they were just going there, not guiding the students for 1 hour, 2 hour, then taking a flight to another part of the country, then they are there. So that way it was going on. But now for last 5 to 7 years, they have linked everything through a system with a satellite, a central server. So one morning, whenever a faculty member is coming, biometric system is there, then it is linked. So that way they are monitoring the faculty members' presence, their quality, and if any stage, if they come to know, the medical council come to know, with the regular inspection they conduct throughout the country, that this medical school is flouting the rules now. So this can be de-recognized immediately. Then another important part of this medical council is to have a final say about recognition of any qualification. Only medical council will decide that this particular qualification is recognized to be practiced as a undergraduate doctor or a postgraduate doctor or super specialized doctor. No other body can do that. So that is again the power of this medical council. Then medical council can decide furtherance to this right, what agreement they can come with other countries. It is called as medical equivalence of qualification. So they can come to agreement with some countries where this Indian qualification can be treated with other countries in a reciprocal basis. So that also can be decided by medical council. But again, there is a long process. They deliberate, they study the curriculum, as Stephen was also mentioning about European Union states. So that's some kind of that arrangement. They deliberate, they study in depth, and when only they are convinced that okay, this system is more or less is meeting our requirements, then they come into an agreement with those countries so that we have a reciprocal basis of recognition of those qualifications. Then we have a live medical register. We have a live Indian medical register. Like suppose I am sitting here. Anybody in this room can just go to the website of Medical Council of India and you know about me, my qualification, my year of qualification, from where I graduated and all those things. So that if I'm going to any doctor anywhere in our country, I know whether that doctor is having that qualification or not. Like no doctor can practice without a qualification. Otherwise, if somebody is found to be doing that, then that person is liable to be treated as per the Indian laws. So this again, we are using the IT technology to maintain this register. So, anyone can access, government can access, medical council can access, and these data is used by different medical schools before giving any appointment for any faculty, or even for appointing for any jobs, or even for the private sector. Then another component of the medical council to ensure that the doctors are of a good quality, minimum quality, they have a provision of issuing the good medical certificates, issuing of a good standing certificates. Suppose if anybody wants to go for any further prospects, say for international assignment, so that country suppose demands a good standing certificate. So that will be issued only by the Medical Council of India, and that will be depending upon my past record. Suppose if it is for me, so my past record is there entered into the data. If I had any wrong thing in the past, then it will not be issued. Again, it is maintained live. Then they maintain the faculty also database. They maintain the faculty database of the faculty also. So beside this is about something about the Medical Council of India. Then beside this, because Professor Fernando asked me how ultimately the Ministry of Health is regulating the health workforce. Now the government of India of last 10 years, they have introduced beside this some indirect measures also. These were some of the direct measures. The one of the measures, important measures which has been introduced in the country in 2013 is about quality accreditation. So now they have come out, anybody interested, I can share those things in details. Now they have come out with more than 5,000 standards, more than 5,000 quality assurance standards, which are applicable to now all the public health facilities in our country. So, and I'm proud to share with you that I'm one of the national trainer for those standards throughout the country. So, and as far as these standards are concerned, now for each standard there is a particular score, and it includes the qualification of the workforce which is working there, including their competencies as well. They are very, very comprehensive. So with that also, what they are doing for every institute in the country, which in the morning I told you, four hierarchy labels. For that, every institute has to undergo this, and the scoring will come. Total scoring will come, gaps will come for each standard, including for the competencies of the health workforce. So whenever these gaps are coming up, so that particular institute is supposed to fill and bridge those gaps within a time-bound plan. Again, this time-bound plan is to be shared with the regulating agencies. By this time, they will be able to bridge these gaps, so that in the process, they are able to, bridge those gaps for the health workforce as well, beside the infrastructure issues, so that quality of the healthcare is also addressed to some extent. Then another indirect measure is about, accreditation by private health institutes as well as the government health institutes. In our country, the accreditation is right now is voluntary. They will make it compulsory in times to come. They are thinking now, but right now it is accreditation. That means, again, there are independent national bodies recognized by the Ministry of Health. So these anybody, any private institute, any government institutes can apply for accreditation there. So then they will be visited by independent experts, and they will be, again, they have a predefined standards in thousands numbers. They will come and visit that particular institutes. They will match the standards which are existing now in particular institutes, and again they will come out with the recommendation whether these particular institutes can be given accreditation or not, including about the health workforce. So there again, this is another example of indirect measurement of health workforce. So this is the way they do this. Do you want me to speak more? Want anything more? 1 minute. Have I answered your question? Thank you very much.
What about France? It's a difficult question, yeah, just a few words, but I will have words you already heard about from me this morning. It's really difficult everywhere to crush the past, and to crush the past, you need political courage, specifically when you want to rule the health professions and when you want the state to rule the health professions. As I said, in France, the national health policy is decided by the states. That's what the law says. But the law tells that for just 2 years. And, you still have some ancient habits. An example, 3 years ago, the government wanted to generalize the third-party payment system. So the patient didn't have, when he went to see the physician, shouldn't have to pay advance, the fees. Fees would have been paid directly from the health insurance to the physicians, not by the patients, who would have been reimbursed by the health insurance. So everyone were convinced by the value of such a system, because lots of people don't go to see the physicians because they don't have enough money to make the advance. But this system has been enacted, the law, in January of 16. But a lot of big social conflict, because the physicians and almost the whole physicians didn't want to be the employees of the health insurance. It's a problem in France. It's not a problem in Germany. Because in Germany, the system has been built with cooperation between the health insurance and the professionals. In France, the physicians, particularly. In France, there is not a cooperation between health insurance and physicians. There is a negotiations. That is quite different. You know, negotiation. Okay, you have your opinions. I have mine. You have your interests. I have mine. Okay, that's all. So about the third-party payment system, the new government has crushed this law. So never implemented in France because of the influence capacity of the physicians. So it is an informal influence, but it's I think it can summon the difficulty for the state in France to lead really relevant national health policy, because you have the principle and you still have the health insurance system, which is led by negotiation, especially about the place where the professional will have their activity when they are not in the health institution. You have health institution and you have the others. And problem is that separation between professionals in health institution and the other. And for the other, the state doesn't dare to make a real state regulation. Just financial assistance if you want. If you don't want to, okay, have financial assistance, but don't have obligations. So it's your partial view. You have trade unions. You also have professional boards for some professions. They have powers and jurisdiction powers. National board can do that, but if you have a process with a professional board, it doesn't prevent a patient or a professional or another institution of the state to sue the professional in civil or criminal court, even if there are process with professional. It's really quick, so I don't know if maybe if you have more specific question, maybe it's late, maybe.
Bem, gostaria de saber se alguém tem alguma colocação.
Parte, eu sou estudante de Direito. Minha pergunta pela senhora aqui a nossa Constituição, a senhora pela manhã mostrou a sua Constituição do seu país, que ela advém de uma pós-guerra. A nossa, que é de 88, vem um pós-golpe. E daí ela é considerada garantidora. E no seu artigo 1º, inciso 3º, fala sobre a dignidade da pessoa humana, e depois o seu artigo 5º, que vem assim, um rol de direitos. E aí me mostrou também um mapa onde os seus médicos lá, eles procuram ficar mais em cidades mais metrópoles. E aí lá no extremo falta médico. E aqui no Brasil também tem isso. Eu queria saber o que o Canadá está fazendo para sanar esse problema, porque o Brasil, ele tem um governo aí atrás, trouxe médicos de fora para sanar esse problema e continua a falta de médicos, pessoas carentes, pobres, lá do extremo da Amazônia, dia desse eu vi uma reportagem num veículo de comunicação de que uma senhora foi ganhar beber assim, uns 300 quilômetros da sua residência, teve que pegar barco, carregar ela em uma rede, é uma coisa bem precária. E aí eu queria saber do Canadá se vocês têm esse empenho em sanar esse problema, porque não é só do Brasil, eu vi que no Canadá também tem isso, né? Isso me preocupa, porque um país tão globalizado, tão à frente, está muito semelhante e próximo ao Brasil. Obrigada.
Well, thank you for the question. You put your headphones on now. Yes, you know, it's an ongoing policy challenge. And so first of all, just to remind you that when we say Canada, we mean the 10 provinces, 3 territories, and so it's not really Canada. So that's the first thing. So that's part of the problem, is that part of the problem for us in healthcare, full stop, is that the provinces have the jurisdiction, but the federal government has the money. And provinces at the moment are spending close to 50% of GDP, of their total governmental spending on healthcare. 50. So they might as well not do anything else. That just should be their job. Mind you, they're pretty bad at it, but that should be just their only job. You wonder why they have a minister of anything else. So this is a big issue for them. So any more money, if you're talking about more money, they're very resistant. But they have done a number of things to try to address concerns about access to healthcare in remote and rural areas. One of the biggest things they've done, we were discussing at lunch, was to create a medical school, a new medical school in the north. And interestingly, the dean of the medical school is from Australia. So they had to get someone who had experience in a different place, but trying to get care to remote and rural areas. And the idea is that the medical trainees are more likely to want to stay in this area, and they're also going to attract, they hope, more Indigenous students just by being there. That this will help a lot with trainees. So they're doing that kind of thing. They've tried just stuffing their wallets with gold. Honestly, like they've tried paying physicians an awful lot of money to locate to different areas, and that just doesn't seem to work that well, because there are many other reasons. If you can make a decent income living in a more accessible location that you think is better for your family, and I think another part of the problem that I was actually only joking about dating a lawyer and making a nice marriage and all this kind of stuff, because like where your partner works has become a huge issue, right? Back 50 years ago, you were a guy and the wife came along for, she looked after the kids and you didn't have to worry about her job. Now you have to worry about both partners' jobs, and it's not so easy in many of these places for the other person, if they're a highly qualified person in whatever field, unless they're also a doctor, to find a job. So we've actually had a movie about this, a couple of movies about trying to lure doctors to remote and rural areas, and the dating scene and the whole business, but seriously, like small communities have bought doctors like houses and just to get them to come and to stay. So there's actually some funny stories about this, but so it's a kind of a moving. We've tried that. What it isn't, I think, just from being stingy, they have actually tried to pay a lot. And so what we currently have, though, is for a lot of Indigenous communities, like pregnant women is really a big issue, because they fly them out. They fly them down from remote and rural areas down to, the cities like Winnipeg and Manitoba, 8 weeks before they are due to give birth. but then they have to stay in the city by themselves with no family and no friends, and you know, so they are saying, well, this is, you know, what about my right to health? Surely doesn't mean that I have to leave my family, but they're sort of so worried about, you know, complications, and then they're very far away from any support. So it's and it's cost a huge amount of money to fly people from remote and rural areas. So yeah, so we're trying. I think there is really an effort to try to deal with this. I would say in New Zealand, one way that New Zealand is not nearly as big as Canada, so the problems are not as extreme, but still a lot of remote rural areas, a lot of Indigenous people in where I grew up in the far north of New Zealand. And so they changed how they paid physicians, family doctors, and so you got a capitation payment that paid you a lot more if you were servicing high need areas. And so actually at that point, doctors started driving around in little buses trying to sign up communities and people. Suddenly they were interested. So it did seem in some circumstances financial incentives work, but our experience in Canada is it hasn't actually changed it too much to get them out there. Sorry, Trudeau, you're going to...
So one, you may have mentioned it, but I don't think you mentioned also, not that it's a huge thing, but they do also use practice restrictions. So particularly for foreign trained physicians who want to register, which in and of itself is politically an interesting thing, or if you think about equity of it. So if you are a foreign trained doctor, you can have restrictions on where you will practice. So for example, you'll sign a contract after your residency where you accept that you will actually not work in the major urban centers. Doesn't mean that you have to go all the way up north, but it means that at least the smaller towns in Ontario, for example, or in Quebec, have a particularly high number of foreign trained doctors who practice there because they're happy to be able to practice in the country, and they accept certain restrictions.
At one point, I should also say that the province of British Columbia tried to restrict doctors from other provinces coming and setting up in downtown Vancouver. And that was actually overturned on a constitutional challenge because they were discriminating against doctors on the basis of their province. And so that was overturned. So it would be okay if it was for everybody, so for all new physicians, but they were sort of protecting their own new physicians. They could set up in downtown Vancouver, but if you're from Manitoba, forget about it. So that was overturned. But then in a subsequent constitutional challenge, the court made it clear if it applied to everybody, you could do it. But no one's actually done that yet, to say if you're a new physician, you've kind of got to go do your service, outside of Toronto, Vancouver. They haven't done that yet. So, and then there are measures where, in exchange for free tuition, if you agree to go further away. So they're trying a bunch of different things. And I think it's there are researchers in Canada, if you guys are interested, who do analysis of these kinds of incentives and what works and what doesn't work. And I know her one of the leading ones quite well, and we can put you in contact with
her. Yeah, let's profit it, and you can add and make your final considerations, because we are running out of time. We have to finish at 6 because of the translation.
Thank you once again. So actually, because you wanted to know about, in India also we have some experiences of these, some kind of measures, which I would like to share with you. One of the measures is that, as Colin was mentioning, is that we are incentivizing doctors. If they go to a particular area, we incentivize the doctors over and above what the regular doctors are paid. So now in some state government, what they have done, they have gone beyond this also. Now there is a process called auction process. Means suppose if I want to work in a particular identified area, my position is open for auction. Means I can decide my salary, that this much I salary I want. So there is no restriction from the government, and then whosoever the doctor government gets, irrespective of the salary, they will be sent to that particular area. This is one measure the government of India has started doing. The another measure to address situation like this, as you were mentioning about Amazon, was that doctors who work in these particular areas where are difficult to reach or inaccessible areas, if you work, say, for example, 3 years or 5 years, you are given some advantage or some relaxation in your PG examination, post-graduation examination, where you can sit for this examination and then you get some admission into post-graduation. So that because of that, lot of doctors we are getting now for last 10 years. Lot of states have started this. So now we are getting a lot of doctors even in these areas. The third is that now, as she was mentioning that they are taken to the flight to the different areas, we have a concept called maternity waiting homes, where before the expected date of deliveries, in these kinds of area, the women are brought a week or 10 days ago to this particular area, which is nearer to the health facilities where doctors are available. And during that time, this pregnant woman is taken care of fully by the government. And once she is ready for the delivery and other thing, then she is taken to this particular place. And fourth is that now throughout the country they have provided the emergency transport services, which is linked to the call center. So anybody calls that number, you get the vehicle. Most of the time in most of the areas, maximum within half an hour. So then that woman is lifted, taken to the particular health facilities where doctor is available. These are some of the measures. Because of time restriction, I will stop. Thank you. Yes, I think I have done.
Okay, thank you. And just one word. I still think, hearing you, everyone, that the only health system is worth it is a collective one, and not a separated system with different professions who don't want to cooperate, who don't want to share their abilities. I don't think it works. So maybe I'm not a health professional, so it's easy to me to say that. Yeah. But maybe it's better to share abilities, to share training and education. So in a collective way, not in an individual one.
Thank you. Trudeau, would you like to make some
Any final comment? I would say regulations can do a lot. So improvement of professional regulation is important, but certainly a cultural shift in the way in which people think about indeed collaboration in healthcare is a very important issue, which involves education, the change of mentalities, change of financial structures, and so on.
Bem, eu agradeço ao professor Trudo, ao Dharmesh e Stefani e a Mônica, que teve que sair, mas que nos brindou também com uma ótima apresentação sobre a perspectiva da Organização Pan-Americana de Saúde e da OMS sobre o tema. Agradeço a todos vocês que aguentaram aqui até esse finalzinho, o dia de hoje. Lembrando que amanhã continuamos o workshop, na parte da tarde apenas, amanhã às 14 horas a gente começa para discutir o direito à saúde em blocos regionais e depois um painel específico sobre o Mercosul e o trânsito de profissionais nos países do Mercosul. Então, grato a todos e até amanhã.
Thank you very much. Very good job. Yeah. It's a good exercise in summarizing. Thank you. I had support with summaries of worked hard today. You worked hard. You were
Antes que ele falava que ela ficava assim.